Alrighty then, here we go everybody, welcome along to the One Hub Season 19 opener here in Australia. It is the Prospect here, and I am your commentator Owen Wyatt. The only one here tonight. Tom isn't available, so I'm going to be taking you through the very first round of the season. Been a while since I've been here, and very much looking forward to getting back into the swing of things. And we've got a very exciting group this season, and very much looking forward to getting started. Just going to make sure everything's running okay, because I haven't actually done a stream solo for quite a while, but it does appear that we're all good. Just let me know in the chat that you can all hear me, and then we should be all good to get going. And so yes, this is it, the first round of the season. We did the pre-season race in Brazil last week. It was a very entertaining event, and a lot of safety cars, and a little bit of rain as well. It all happened last week, and we do have a grid, I believe, of 19 ready to come through this week, because Speedway did get up to the points tier after his last week, so he's going to be racing for Ferrari there, and he leaves the AlphaTauri spot free. So Smithy there is the only driver in AlphaTauri. Just saying, actually, you might be needing 3 or 4 absences, so might not quite reach the 19, but of the drivers that get here, I'm sure they'll still give us a good show for what is the first round of the season. And yes, very much looking forward to this one. I'm also racing this season, so I'm going to have to use these races with a little bit of an idea of what's going to happen. Strategy, I can't steal any strategies, because strategies should be quite simple this season. 2 stops is the way we go. We're here in One Hub Racing, so that means you can probably qualify in softs no problem and do soft, medium, medium, or soft, medium, or something along those lines. The hard tires shouldn't really be a factor, which is a good thing. It means everyone stays in the race, and if you have any issues at the start of the race, there's an extra stop which could help you later on. But yeah, we'll be waiting for the lobby to go. We've got another 3 minutes to go, and while I wait for all that, I shall thank all of our sponsors. We've got Next Level Racing. They sponsor the league by providing LLR Direct Drive stand to our Driver of the Season, which is a new award for this season. 3M Sim Racing, who sponsor the league by providing a pair of their sim racing gloves to the driver with the most combined poles and fastest laps. And actually our partners as well. Vespertine, who are partnered to support our championship prizes. And ERT, the partner of the ERT Going Gets Tough award. Another award for the season, which I might end up winning a bit, because I'm not too sure about my chances for winning the championship, but we'll see, I'll focus on this tier first before I get worried about my racing later on. This is the first tier of 5 tonight as well. This one's on YouTube, as you can see, the Prospect tier. The points tier is at 6:45, that's on Twitch, so if you don't like me, you can go and watch that one, but that'll be in 45 minutes time. Then the podium tier and the precision tier, they are on YouTube at 7:15 for podium, 7:45 for precision, and then the pinnacle tier, the big tier, one I'm in, 8:30 on Twitch. So plenty of good racing going on tonight. A very exciting day for the start of the season. Now, as we do every week on Thursdays, there are some pre-race interviews, and plenty of drivers from this lovely tier gave us their thoughts. And I'll just let you all know about how they think about the track and how they think about their thoughts on this season so far. We got, I think, 6 of the drivers who are on this grid answering some questions. And likes of Jamie Met, TJW, Alls, Jason, Doyle and Josh. So cheers to all those ones for answering some questions. The general consensus from those lot is that the corners on this track are decent, apart from some of the curves, the likes of turn 5 and turn 12. I think it was definitely Doyle. He doesn't like turn 12. He had mentioned that one particularly, and the likes of Josh mentioning the curves being ruthless. That's stuff to look out for in qualifying more than the race, I think, because obviously you're going to be more on edge for qualifying. And another thing that we asked tonight was that they would tell us their goals for the season and their goals for the their tracks, which ones are the best tracks, which ones are the worst tracks. There's plenty to talk about during the qualifying session, and I will go on with that as the night progresses, because I don't want to get it all out of the way, surely. You want to know what these drivers think, but we also want to see how they get on. Before we start, I'm going to go through our grids for the season. They might not all be here tonight. You can see there's a few names missing, but I'll go through all the names I've got on my list. And they are Wayson Hawkins. They are racing for Mercedes. There's no Mercedes cars here at the moment, as you can see. Wace was here in Prospect last season, while Hawkins is a new rookie. Both of them racing premium. Indecisive and Infamous are in the Red Bull. You can see they are both here tonight. which is good to see. And again, Indecisive was at Red Bull. He was in the prospect here last season. He is also race premium. Infamous is in for Red Bull. He's only ever had one finish in his entire career, hoping to make that 2 tonight. Alls and Jim, both racing premium, both racing for McLaren. They're probably the most experienced lineup on the grid with a combined 90 finishes between them. An incredible result for all of them, and they had, I think, 81 points finishes. Only one win between them, though. They're hoping to make that 2 tonight. Jimmy had a really good chance in the pre-season race in Brazil to win the race, but he made a late pit stop, cost him. Perhaps he'll make up for that this time. They're both here as well, which is good to see, and they're both racing premium, and they weren't actually here last season, so they're both making a return to the league. Demon and TJW, they're racing for Aston Martin. Again, they're both here tonight, which is good to see. They're both also racing premium, which is obviously fantastic. And they were both in this tier last season, so they're combining to see if they can go for the championship. Another 2 drivers who were here in Prospect last season, Storm and not Jess tonight. She will be here in future races, but she's not here tonight, as you can see. Only Storm, who is also racing premium along with Jess, so good to see for the Alpine boys. We'll see how they do. Then Ferrari, Fozzie was here last season. You can see he's there just below his teammate Jason. Jason, who's another rookie. Both racing for Ferrari this season, so we'll see how they do. And then AlphaTauri, like I say, we've only got one AlphaTauri on the grid this season as it stands. We'll get another driver soon. But Fozzie, he's got his seat at Ferrari. He will be doing well. He's the one who was in Prospect last season, and I believe Ferrari had quite a good result. I think they were 1-2, if I remember correctly. So we'll see if they can carry that performance onwards, and we could maybe see a good title. So that's those 2 I want to talk about just quickly. But anyway, back to the AlphaTauris. Smithy, only one in there. He's racing premium. He was in Prospect last season. We'll see how he gets on. Alfa Romeo, we've got Josh Wilkins and Alex Lilliard. Alex was quite good. He made 7 positions at the start of last week's race before crashing. So he will want to make up for that last week. Both racing premium, and Alex, one of the, I think, the second most or the third most experienced driver on this grid. So we'll see how he gets on. Both of them were in Prospect last season. Then Haas boys, we've got a bit of a unique situation with those ones. We've got Matthias, who's not here, and we've got Lindblade, who's not here either. But Lindblade is a rookie. He's also racing premium. But Matthias, he was actually in the points tier last season, so he could have a good chance at the title if he is able to show up at some point. We'll see later on if he can, but there's plenty of races this season if they don't show up tonight, so hopefully we'll see Matthias perhaps go for a title. And then the last team, the Williams boys. We've got Doyle, a rookie, Stephen, a rookie, the only all-rookie squad this season. Let's see how they get on as Indecisive gets ready. That will be the call for everyone else. We've got 15 drivers tonight. And let's say Doyle and Stephen, both with a fresh slate. No races done in this league. Can they get their first points tonight? It's a very exciting grid. We've got 10 returning drivers, 1 down from the points tier last season. So that's 10 prospects, 1 points, and the rest of them all either had a season out or are rookies. So that's how we're looking for the prospect tier. We're all getting ready to start racing. It is the Australian Grand Prix. I cannot wait to get started. I really can't. This is going to be such a good season. I haven't done commentary with this league for such a long time, and the excitement's here. The excitement's absolutely back. Shame Tom can't be with us, but I'm sure he's in the stream watching as well. And yeah, we will be very excited to see how we go. Will we get any rain? Will we get any interesting weather? We will find that all out once we get to the grid. Right then, I've done all the introductions just about in time, which is always nice to see. I always worry about getting all that done, but we're here, we're done. We can just talk about the racing and all the interviews the drivers are given. I'll go through them when we're watching them on the right laps and the quality lap, sure, and we'll make sure everyone's thoughts get shown to everybody, and yeah, we'll see how we get on. So just gotta make sure the link is all shared for the TAS, because we're using TAS this season. Always nice to see. Hopefully the stream link's been sent around so everyone can come in and watch. And we are just waiting for the drivers to get into the lobby. Remember, in previous F1 games we used to have 3 different sets of tyres that you would choose right now. But now you only have the 3 softs and 1 medium strategy. That's the only one you can choose. You used to be able to do 2 softs and a hard and a medium. And you used to be able to do a all soft run, but now it's only the 3 softs and a medium. Shouldn't make too much of a difference, like I say, of a 2-stop strategy, but it does mean that you don't have to worry about that small little feature anymore. So any sort of slower laps would be done at the start on a set of mediums rather than a set of hards. That's about the only difference you get with that. Probably also means less hards to use in the race as well. Not that you'd want to because they're doing 2 stops. Anyway, now it looks almost like sunset here in Australia, but it doesn't look like we're going to get any rain in the qualifying session, which is obviously good to see. Got to see these guys going for it. I think most people probably have been practicing in the dry. I know a couple of people have been practicing in the wet. In fact, in our interviews earlier on, we did see, who was it that said it? I'm sure somebody had said it. I'm going to try and look for it, but I think it was Jim May who said he had a wet setup. He was looking at the wet. He said the car actually felt a lot more stable in the wet. So that's one driver that's definitely done some preparation for this track. Most other people seem to be happy enough with their practice, other than a few spins for the likes of Jason, who was saying that he wasn't too satisfied with the consistency because he spins too often. And then we've got people like Alls, who says he's learning no ABS. And so that's obviously a difficult one to do on this track. When you've got so many fast chicanes, you could easily end up finding yourself off the road. Now, as we head out onto the track, I want to find Doyle because he was the driver in the press conference. I actually joined him in that press conference as well. I was the pinnacle driver chosen, but this man was the driver chosen for the Prospect. And he was asked, how did you find last week's pre-season race and what are your goals for the season? And he told us that he was finding last week very entertaining. He found himself third, although a glitch put him down to 5th. And his goals for the season are top 10 in the Drivers' Championship and consistent in the Constructors' Championship, possibly even going for the title. We'll wait and see. Demon's already out of the session, which is a shame. I'm not too sure what's happened there as he's come out of the pits, but he is out of qualifying. And that was one of the questions asked actually to a lot of drivers. What are their goals for the season? I do want to quickly go through these because it's quite interesting to see how people's different approaches. For example, Jim, here he is, going through the fearsome turn 12 already. He wants this season to get a podium, top 6 in the Drivers' Championship, and maybe top 3 in the Constructors' Championship. Of course, last week they nearly won the race, so perhaps Jamie might be able to get those podiums, and we'll see how he goes with that one. His teammate was also talking about his goal, and he would like nothing. He didn't actually mention it. He mentioned every other question, but he wanted to stay quiet on his goals. Perhaps he's got some more pace under him that we don't know about just yet. TJW, his teammates out of the session, but he did answer some questions, and his goals were top 3 in the championship. He could have been 3rd without some DNS last season, so he feels confident that he's got the pace to do what he couldn't quite manage last season, perhaps looking up at the points tier for next season if he has a good enough run this time round. Other drivers were asked. We had Jason as well was asked. He had a strong performance last time in Brazil, and he was asked how he felt he would do. All he wants is consistent points. Although he had a good race last time, doesn't want to set his expectations too high. He will stick with this original goal, like I say, consistently scoring points. That's all he wants to do, which is fair enough. You can only sort of impress. You can impress by not aiming too high. So I think that's why he's stopping him actually. He needs to have more fun. And then the man in the pitch, George Wilkins, but he did also have stuff to say. He wanted 3 podiums and a possible race win, which could be very interesting to see. Anyway, there were some people on laps. We just watched Jamie heading through turn 12, nearly losing it again. We'll see if we can find somebody on the softs. Jason is invalidated, unfortunately. Here's Smithy. He's coming around the final corner. This is going to be the first official lap of the season, and it is a 1 minute 22.3. Not a bad lap time. I think we'll get a little bit quicker than this. We should be into the 21s or even into the 20s by the end of the qualifying session. I believe Alls was also on a lap, but he's also invalidated it. Jamie was struggling through turn 12 and is only a 1 minute 25.5. Looks like we had 2 Williams drivers following each other. First one across the line is going to be Stephen, but getting a toe, Doyle will beat him, but still no one getting near Smithy's time. It is on the soft. You would expect that, I suppose. Like I say, most of these early laps are going to be on the mediums doing a slow run just to get a lap on the board, really. Mercedes of Waste has gone off on his out lap, look, and that's luckily not on a set of softs. He wouldn't mind wasting a set of mediums. Will he still do the lap? He will, but grip will not be there in the first chicane, so you'll want to be careful he doesn't end up in the wall there, because that'll be a real shame to see right at the start of the session. Alls, I think he might pit with us, will he? Because it's an invalid lap, and he does indeed pit. TJW, he's gone up to 2nd place on his first run on the sauce. We'll watch a Ferrari though. Let's watch Fozzie Bears. He heads down towards turn 3. We'll have a little run around the track, shall we, on board. as Fozzie misses the apex bit at turn 3, but as long as you get the rotation round for 4, it should be alright on the pace, and as you head out, you've got to go right to the outside of 5 and sweep in. Not quite confident, I don't think, now to go full throttle. Sometimes the car can lose the back end, so I guess it's understandable. These chicanes are very tricky in the middle sector. It's really hard to get it right because of how aggressive the curves are. Some drivers were talking about that, like I say, in the previous interviews. But it's curves like that one there at turn 8 which can send you a bit airborne, and then you lose the back end on exit and it could lead to you spinning off. Same with the curves here at 11 and 12 where you hit the one on the left, that bounces you, and then you hit the one on the left, hit the one on the right at turn 12's apex, that bounces you out to the left and you spin off. So the drivers are going to be aware of that in qualifying and possibly in the early laps of a stint, say lap 1 and then after your first and second pit stops. Just want to be careful that you get round. But here comes Fozzie then, through the last couple of corners to finish his first attempt for the day. Plenty of time to get more runs in if he's not happy with this one, but I think it should be an alright lap time. Should get him well up the timing stands, and he's up into second place. So Smithy then, in the sole AlphaTauri, is currently the man topping the session. How about Storm? Can Storm go quicker than him? No, he's 3.2 seconds off the pace. Here's Josh on the lap. Going to see if there's anyone else further along. Perhaps Wayce. You saw he had been in the grass there just a lap ago, but he has made it round. It's a very slow lap though, so I wonder if he's actually had another problem. We'll catch up with him. I think he's going to do another lap perhaps. And Josh Wilkins at 27.2 in the first sector. We watched Fozzie Bear, that was 2 tenths off that, and his lap was 7 tenths off Smithy, so I'm not too sure this will be going for fastest lap, but it doesn't really need to be this early on. But we'll see how everyone gets along. In fact, the fastest sectors, of course, I can look at these on task now. He's half a second off on the first sector's pace, is Josh Wilkins, so Smithy will need to watch one of his laps because he is purple in all 3 sectors as it stands. Of course, some laps were on mediums, some laps were on softs, and we'll get a much better picture towards the end of the session. Right then, we'll see this lap out, and then I think we'll be getting ready for another set of runs. So, yeah, let's see. I think this should still be well into the top 5. And yeah, second place. He actually made a bit more time than Fozzie, so he's stronger perhaps in the rest of the lap. So if we can hook it all up together, there could be a decent lap in there. But half a second off. Smithy feeling comfortable right now. He's sitting in the pit lane and he's enjoying the session. So let's see who's on a lap. Alex Lilliard. Now he made up 7 positions, as I said, at the start of the Brazilian Grand Prix last week. It was only a pre-season race, of course, but still worth pointing out that it was a very good and positive start until he hit the wall. He's gone P6 now, but I'm sure he'll be looking to sort of avenge his own accident last time out and try and prove to yourself that he is quick enough. I know he's quick enough, but he'll certainly want to prove it to himself more than anything. And while we're in a slight lull, we'll watch as James heads round, but this is the calendar for this season, so we're obviously here in Melbourne, Australia for the first round. After this we'll be going to Bahrain, Hungary, France, Singapore, Belgium, Britain, Austria and the US of A. Now, round 10 is the finale of course, and it might be Imola. I'm hoping it's going to be in the game by November the 5th, which is when the race is scheduled for. But that will be the only race that's pretty much subject to change. But as it stands, Imola will be the final race of the season. And I very much hope it'll be on the game by then, because I think everyone's looking forward to tackling the very tricky track and an iconic track in Formula 1. So I really do hope we can get there, because it should be a cracking wee event and a great way to end the season. And as we watch Jamie's lap, he's already a second up on his last attempt. And he's got through the fearsome turn 12. I think some people might end up with a little bit of a sort of, I don't know, feeling a bit more of a calm atmosphere around that corner once they've done a few runs in it in qualifying, and it could put them into a false sense of security. It happened to me once in a league race where I got through qualifying and I thought, okay, I can do that turn 12, and then on heavy fuel on the first couple of laps of the race, the rear end just went. And they've really got to be aware of that corner every single lap. It'll keep you on your toes as Jamie improves by 2.3 seconds up into 4th position, now 9 tenths off P1. He had run out of ARS, did you notice, before the line. That's something that the drivers might want to keep an eye on. It could cost him a crucial tenth of a second as indecisive crosses the line. He's gone P7. And then the two Williams, they're not together this time. Doyle goes up to second, so very close to Smithy's P1 time, but it is the second man into the 1:21s regardless. As we see, he was a bit further behind, and he's actually into the wall. There's an Aston Martin of TJW's on Night Lab. You'll see him going past. Luckily, the car was ghosted. Don't think there will be any problems with the stewards there. They won't need to get involved in that. Jason for Ferrari has invalidated again. He's got to make sure he doesn't do that too often, or else he might find himself not doing a fast lap today. Wayce is still going round. He's the only man who's out there on the mediums at the moment. He's been on since the start of the session. Only 7 minutes and 32 seconds to go here in Melbourne, so he's not going to want to be on them forever, because like I say, a two-stop strategy means that you don't actually really have to worry about the medium tyres being that viable, because you can use 2 sets of softs anyway. Yellow's in sector 2, is that Infamous or is it his teammate? I think it's only a bit of weaving going on, and anyway, well, he's hitting the wall a bit, but yeah, there's nothing to be too concerned about. Anyone on that? TJW, of course, let's see. As he heads to the end of the first sector, 27.2, again, half a second off Smithy, who's currently sitting in P1. Smithy still holds the fastest first and second sector, but actually when Doyle went up to second place, he set a fastest final sector, so now no longer purple across the board for Smithy, as he does come out for his light lap. I do want to catch a lap with him, and so we'll certainly see how he gets on, as TJW finds himself 2 cents of a second lap. That could, if he makes a little bit more in the final sector, leave him in P4, so we'll see if he can do that as he heads through. Just a couple of more corners to go. I'm just trying to see who's behind him. I think that's going to be Alls on an night lap, but then Jason perhaps on a second attempt on that tyre, and then after that Smithy. So we'll watch those two come across the line, then we'll catch the lap with Smithy as TJW comes up to the line and goes up to P4. Decent final sector there for him as he moves up the timing screens. And so we can have a look then at Alls, who started his lap, but Jason, who's just gone fastest of all. Look at that, 7 tenths clear of the field. Purple sector 1 and 3. So a very good lap for Jason. Let's see how Smithy can respond. He's now got 7 tenths to make up. I don't think he was really expecting that. We said we could get into the lower 21s, perhaps even the 20s, and that is being supported by Jason's stunning lap there for Ferrari as he heads around on his end lap. Didn't get into Smithy's way, which is good to see. Smithy hits the curb on the inside of turn 5. A difficult apex to hit, and he's hit it maybe a bit too hard. Unsettled the car. Was still faster though for his sector 1 than his last attempt, and by far still well, actually it's not the fastest first sector now, is it? Because Jason purple in sector 1 and 3, so actually he's nowhere near Jason's time there. He's about 2 tenths off it. How about the middle sector? Smithy still holds the fastest sector there, and I believe he will still do that because that's his fastest middle sector of the day so far. Gets through turn 12 successfully, and now it's all about this run through the final twisty section. 4 minutes and 50 to go, so still time for one more run if this one isn't good enough for him, as he heads through the last couple of corners, now hitting the apexes nicely and onto the brakes for one last time on this lap before he heads through the nearly flat final corner. And we're going to see Alls just went P8 there. Where's Smithy going to go? Checkered flag will be there at the end of the session, so we'll have one more tie, and he needs to find another 3 tenths when he goes for it, and so that's where he's going to be. Next time by will be his last try, surely, as drivers are already starting to come out for their last attempts. And so the stage will be set then. It looks like Jason versus Smithy, but we'll see if anyone else can get involved. How about this guy? Josh 21 Wilkins is in the Alfa Romeo. Let's see if he can get himself up into the top 3 with his time. He looks like he's tracking for it, and he does go up to 3rd place, just 1/1000th of a second behind Smithy. Oh, so close the times there, but not quite enough to go ahead. Still a decent lap for him. Does put him into a decent spot, and I think Alls might have gone for this again, but he's not improving on this lap, so I wonder if he will find himself into the pit lane at the end of this. I think we'll follow it just in case it ends up being a remarkable final sector for him. Oh, he's spun. Well, that's not going to help then. And I believe Smithy actually, was he going again or not? I don't think he was. He was on his way to the pit lane. I just looked at him, he's going a bit faster, but he's not actually going to be going again. So we'll watch him enter the pits. Anyone else on the lap apart from Alls, who spun? How close is Doyle to starting the lap? He's right at the end of the lap. So we'll follow him as he heads round. 3 minutes to go in qualifying. We will start seeing the cars exiting the pit lane. There's Wayce and another one as well. I believe that is Jason. Hopefully they don't get into the way of Doyle as he starts what might well be his final qualifying lap here in Australia. The time, 1 minute 21.2, set by Jason. That is the time to beat at the moment. You can see Wayce there's moved right onto the inside, which is good to see. It means he's not going to be getting into the way of Doyle. He'll see Jason ahead of him, and he might be able to sneak a little bit of a toe off him, depending on when he catches him. But let's see the sector times. So 26.5 to beat for P1. He's already half a second off that. Will he perhaps back it off and try and go for another run later on? Because the time's running low, and if he can get a properly good lap in, then he would have a chance at moving into that top 3. But as it stands, I don't think he's going to be getting much of a lap time, unless of course he improves in the middle and the final sectors, which he could well do. So let's see as he heads through. Middle sector time, it's still not a personal best, so I'm sure he'll surely have to go for another run. But right now he's still pushing like mad, and so it's not really going to have the ERS to get there. That's the problem. So I'm guessing this will be his last run, Doyle. That's at a top pace, and obviously the soft tyres tend to degrade a little bit as well. But anyway, here he comes in the Williams around the final corner. DRS active, and he will just about using up ERS as well. That was perfectly judged on the ERS, and he doesn't quite improve his time. He was close. Is he going again? I think he is actually going again. But we'll watch somebody else, because Wayce, we know, is starting the lap, and Jason behind him as well. In fact, sorry, we'll watch Jason, because Jason is the P1 man, so we're going to want to see how he gets on this final lap. I'll keep you up to date then with Wayce's sector times then. Infamous is caught on a set of medians, maybe trying to get into the top 10 with those. Only 15 people here, and one of them already out of the session. Perhaps not a bad gamble to take, but we'll see how it works. Jason backs off. Sees he's 2 cents off and backs off. Wayce has set sector 1 time already, and he's now invalidated, unfortunately, which is a shame in the Mercedes. Anyone else then? Is that Jim Met, who's found himself 6/10 of a second up on his last try? Not a purple sector 1, still 4 tenths off the pace of Jason, which just appears to be so rapid at the moment. 30 seconds to go before the check flag and the end of the first qualifying session, and that is Josh Wilkins in the pit lane. He's sitting third and he's happy enough with his time, and so he's out of the session. That's no accident, that is just him retiring. And same with his teammate. Both of the Alfa Romeo sat in the pit lane, happy enough with how they've done. Now let's see if Jamie Met can improve his time. His teammate's coming across the line to start a lap, and I believe that's Jason's starting lap as well. Next car after Jamie Met as the check flag comes out. Jason didn't make it in time, nor did Smithy or Storm. Here's Jamie though. He moves up to P5. Next car on is going to be Fuzzy Bear. He's 7 seconds off, so he's not going to improve. Doyle is out there, but he's not improving. Stevens round the final corner, he's 1.1 seconds up. Not exactly what you need for a fast time, but if he can find it in the last sector, he might get into the top 10, and he does. Decent lap there from him. Now, Infamous is into the pit. It's his teammate Indecisive into the pit lane. Infamous is not improving, so he's currently not going to quite reach the top 10 on this gamble as TJW goes up to P4. I mean, he'll get to start on these tyres anyway if he's in P11, so I guess it's not necessarily the end of the world for him, but I have a feeling Infamous probably wanted to qualify top 10. But we'll see. Only Wayce and Infamous and Alls, and we know Doyle's slow, and we know Infamous has just gone to the grass, so that'll be his qualifying lap ruined. Wayce, we know he's yet to finish his lap. Here he comes in the Mercedes. High expectations for the team from Brackley as they come across the line. Will Wayce move up the grid? I think he will. He's up at the P4. It's a decent lap. Doyle is not improving. Alls went up to P7 in the end. And so it is Jason for Ferrari who's on pole for the first round here in Melbourne then, with a time of a 1 minute 21.8 121.218. So that's a really, really nice time. 3/10 clear Smithy and Josh, who were separated by just 1,000th of a second. Then it is Wace, TJW, Doyle, Alls, Jimmy Met, Fozzie Bear, Stephen, and then outside the top 10 with 3 tire choice, Alex Lilliard, Infamous, Indecisive, Storm, and Demon, who didn't even set a time. And that ends the first qualifying session then of the new season. Prospecteria is absolutely underway, and we'll be getting ready to see the first laps of the season. And while we do that, let's talk a little bit more about what the drivers were saying in their pre-race interviews, because they were all being asked about what their best tracks for the season and what their worst tracks of the season for be. And like I say, we got 5 answers total for this, so we'll see what Jamie said. Jamie said that his best tracks were Bahrain, Hungary and France. Tracks that you will see recurring a few times here, so that's his best tracks. Worst tracks is Singapore and Belgium, and I'll tell you as well that Alls, his teammate, also thinks that Singapore and Belgium are the worst tracks on the calendar. Jason also agrees with Singapore, as does Josh with Belgium. Other people who like Britain as a favourite track are Alls and Josh. We'll talk about this when we come round to those races, but I just thought I'd give you a little look and see what they're talking about already. France was also popular with Alls and Josh, and then Austria for Alls was a unique one, and then Jason liked Hungary as his favourite, and Doyle liked Bahrain. We'll talk about those because those are interesting tracks to bring up. When we go to Bahrain next week, Jamie and Doyle might find themselves as favourites, you know. They feel they can win there. And when it comes to worst tracks, maybe Jason would be as good as Britain because he doesn't like it as much. And then USA and Hungary for Doyle. Might not like those as much. I'll bring these up throughout the season. I'm going to keep those answers and we'll move on to them when we sort of get to those tracks. Nobody said they liked Australia more than any other tracks, and nobody said that they hated Australia. So yeah, that's not just some stats I thought was interesting, just what people were saying. Let's see the tyre choices though. Like I say, no one on the hards, no one really was going to be on them either. It's no real need for it. So we will see 3 drivers on the mediums, who are Infamous, Storm and Demon. So we'll quickly run through the grid again on board with every driver. Jason is on pole for Ferrari from Smithy for AlphaTauri. Josh is sitting in 3rd for Alfa Romeo, with Wace and TJW in their Mercedes. Obviously, Aston Martin looks very much like Mercedes, and they'll look like that from a distance as well, but hopefully we don't get too confused. Wace for Mercedes, TJW for Aston Martin. Doyle for Williams in 6th, and Alls, the 7th different team in the top 7, for McLaren, heading his teammate in Jamie Met. Fozzie Bear the 2nd Ferrari, and Stephen the 2nd Williams. Then outside the top 10 we're going to have Alex in the 2nd Alfa Romeo, the 2 Red Bulls of Infamous and Indecisive, then the Alpine, the sole Alpine of Storm, followed by Demon, who didn't even set a qualifying lap, sitting right at the back of the grid. Only way is up for him. Perhaps he could be one for that Driver of the Day award. I will have to choose probably 2 because I don't have a co-commentator, so I'll be looking out for 2 drivers of the day here, and I will see what we did. Remember, pole time was, I believe, a 1 minute 21.218, and that was Jason by 3/10 of a second on pole. Smithy and Chris are 1,000th of a second separated, and on a track where you can't overtake very much, this run towards turn 1 and perhaps even the run towards turn 3 and really the whole of the first lap, avoiding the carnage, making up positions where you can, it could be where we see the biggest movements tonight. But we're on the grid, Demon is there, we've got 3 drivers on the medium tyres, the rest of them all on softs, mandatory 2-stop, and the first round of season 19 will get underway when the 5 lights go out. Jason on the right and Smithy on the left. A chicane for turn 1 as season 19 gets underway, and what a start from Josh! We're 3 wide already, but I think he and Smithy have gone right around the Ferrari, but who gets into turn 1 first? They've collided, both spinning off. Luckily, they do ghost, and Wace now takes the lead of the Australian Grand Prix. It was a shocking start for Jason, but he's managed to keep it on the road. He stays in 2nd place. Doyle's 3rd with TJW in 4th. Fozzie Bear now up to 5th, and we're seeing Lilliard making one of his trademark starts again. He's made up 4 positions already, and what drama we saw where the 2 drivers were separated by 1,000th of a second. I think it was even closer than that as we headed into turn 1, and you can see it's a disaster for Josh and for Smithy, who find themselves spinning like tops on this start. But now, look at Jason. Is he going to try and recover from his poor start? As we see the side-by-side, Ferrari and Aston Martin of TJW, who's now being swamped by Jimmy Met. He's had a good start ahead of his teammate, who's fallen down to 10th place. But we're going side-by-side, still in towards turn 11, which eventually Jimmy wins out the fight. But then TJW around the outside at 12 sends Jimmy Met spinning off. And we'll see if he gets collected by anyone, because it's a very difficult corner to stay on track with on the first lap. But they've all got through. And, well, I'm trying to catch my breath after what was just a shocking first lap for two of the favourites for this race. Jason, like I say, I think he might well have the pace. Will he be able to challenge and catch and pass Wayson? And if so, when's he going to do it? Mercedes lead Ferrari here at Melbourne. How many times have we seen this in F1 in the past? As we head through turn 1, Wayson misses the apex. Jason, I'm sure, will be happy enough to put as much pressure as he possibly can onto the Mercedes. He got away with that because it was a really tricky start for him. He just did not get off the line at all. And it was 3 wide before turn 1, and eventually Smithy and Josh, neither of them wanted to back off. The stewards will almost certainly be having a look at that first lap, and it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, because as well, Jamie Met might have something to say about TJW, who was really brave, as we said, to go right round the outside of turn 12. I wonder if the stewards might actually let that one in particular go, but perhaps turn 1 might be more difficult to let go. We'll see though, as Jason holds onto the back of Wayson. No DRS until the start of lap 3. And I don't imagine Jason's going to take any big risks unless it's a really easy move. And look at that, you can see how much those two are struggling through 12. Let's see if they all make it through, because look at them, how they're avoiding the curb zone. They really don't want to risk it, because one little tap of the curb too much and you will be spinning off. Josh appears to not have needed to pit, which is good to see, because it means he'll be able to stay relatively competitive in the race. Smithy, on the plus side, has made 1 stop, but on the minus is obviously way behind. As we start lap 3 of the Australian Grand Prix, Jason, 1 minute 25.9, followed by a few more who are way faster than this. I wonder if Wayson is really holding Jason up, and he really is just being brave, not being brave, being sensible. Well, I guess you could say he's being brave as well when he goes to the route, but he's being sensible, let's say that for now, as he decides not to pass Wayson until it's a clear opportunity. Good gap to Doyle. Doyle is setting the same pace as Jason, which means he's not really going to be catching him too much, and he will be looking behind for Fozzie Bearable. Ferrari will be heading towards a 1-2 perhaps on the first race of the season. I must say it's looking quite good actually, even though they're sitting 2nd and 4th right now. It feels like they're going to develop throughout the race, but we'll see how it all goes. First of all, we've got to see Jason and see if he can get past into the lead of this race quickly as well. Remember, fastest lap points is worth pointing out, as we were talking about as they all came up. There's a fastest lap point for the top 10 and for the bottom 5 in this case, but there's one for outside the top 10 and one for inside it. And as you can see now with DRS, he's going to be setting a few fastest laps I reckon today, Jason, as he goes into the lead of the Prospect round 1 of the Australia Grand Prix. A pretty easy move, it has to be said. Wayson did try to defend it, but I think Jason's just had more natural pace. Oh, he's now gone wide as well, his Wayson. As we turn to Fozzie Bear, then the upper Ferrari, is he going to be looking at trying to make some moves into the top 10 or into the top 3? That's Jason in the end, you can see. Fastest lap, and for his teammate as well. So the Ferrari's certainly looking the fastest out there. And will Fozzie try and get by Doyle now on the back straight as he heads down towards turn 3? Heaviest braking zone on the track this, but there's no way through. As Fozzie just bides his time, and Josh, it looks like, is getting past Jimmy Met. They nearly slide a bite off the track, but they do appear to have made it relatively clean. Now, at the front, yeah, you can see Jason's pulled away, so it's going to be really this fight for third that we're looking at the moment. And, yeah. Let's say, it gives me a chance to catch my breath here, because this is just so crazy, this first sort of lap. I mean, I can't believe how much really happened there. Remember, by the way, Jason's a rookie at the moment. He's absolutely schooling the field as it stands. And for a rookie to be doing this, I'm sure... Oh! Is that Smithy in the wall, along with Demon? They're both 2 separate accidents, but they've both happened at the same time. Smithy has got away with it, but Demon's recovering a little slower, but he does get back on. Now, how did that happen? Was Was there contact with Josh Wilkins, perhaps? But, yeah, well, they've got away okay, at least. But that was a weird incident, that. But, like I say, rookie in Jason at the moment. And, yeah, he's looking to give the people in the points tier, perhaps, a chance to look at him soon. As Smithy gets the first penalty of the day for track limits, a 3-second penalty. But, yeah, let's say, good stuff on the rookie so far. And, well, as Wayce stands, if he was going to finish second today, even though he got overtaken by Jason, he might not feel too great about that. He is on for his second podium of his one-half career. All the stats will be moving up for these guys, and, well, season goals might be getting achieved already. I mean, Doyle wants a top 10 of Judge, and look at him, he's sitting in the podium positions at the moment. Another rookie. 2 rookies on the podium being chased by yet another driver who's not got massive amount of experience. He does, I believe, have 1 podium, Fozzie. He looks to make it 2. We're certainly seeing maybe some of the drivers that don't have the highest stats going for big results. Sort of hoping this goes for me as well later on in Pinnacle, but you know, I'll try not to jinx myself too early. Is Fozzie Bear going to have a try on Doyle yet? So let's see. He has the pace for it, you know. I think on strategy, since it's a 2-stop, you can be a lot more sort of creative with it, and I wonder if he might even try and do it there, maybe try and get Wayce along with him, because I think he's got the pace, and his teammate's escaping down the road. A chance of a victory here for him if he can move it, because he is the fastest guy out there. But Jason now has actually just set the fastest lap of the race himself, but I think Fozzie is just biding his time. Does not want to make a risky move, as Stephen becomes the first person, I think, to make a scheduled pit stop. Let's see, I don't think anyone's brought a front wing out, so I think this is absolutely an in-race pit stop, rather than a necessary you know, damage pit stop. Harder tires, mediums go on, so not going to go for softs yet, maybe later on. Infamous is off the track. He will recover though, I believe. Just doesn't want to spin again. That's the problem that drivers have sometimes. They spin once and then they spin again and again and again. We saw it with Josh and with Smithy on the start. Let's look at TJW though, because with Fozzie Bear maybe being a bit too conservative here, trying to fight Doyle, is this giving TJW a chance to nick a podium position as it stands? Look at the understeer for Fozzie Bear, and then sort of Doyle as well on the second part of the chicane. They're both sort of struggling for grip, as TJW just sort of sits there. He's saved his ERS up, as has Fozzie in all fairness, and they're both just biding their time, I think. How to sort of predict how this one's going to go with these two? I think they'll both potentially be fighting for the podium today, TJW and Fozzie. Strategy might get involved in it, but neither of them are pitting at the moment. Fozzie has to do the move now. He's, I think, close enough to go for it as he heads towards turn 1. Fozzie, well, he's taken a really conservative route, but it has put him up into P3. Will he be able to put his foot down now, I wonder, and go for Wayce? The quicker he gets to him, the quicker that Ferrari 1-2 is established, and the quicker they can maybe try and get away from the field. We're already on to lap 7. Pit stop certainly will be being thought about as TJW has a spin. Recovers, he will ghost, so no one's going to clatter into him. Alex Lilliard makes up another position then. And there was some fighting going on as Storm as well was sent spinning off in the Alpine. And he recovers as well. Back onto the track. Just going to make sure no one's taking any damage from all of this. No one's taking damage. On the tyres, by the way, always worth putting out, we're talking about these pit stops. Another yellow flag. Josh Wilkins is second off of the day, and he will recover. But the guy out there who has got the worst tyres, believe it or not, is actually our race leader. He's really pushing them out there. He's on 43% for his front left tyre, so you can see that he is pushing like mad. The next highest after that is way down Jimmy Met on 40%. So you can see there just what the tyres are like, but actually Jamie Met, his rear left is the one that's taking most damage. He's on 45, so really the highest sort of we're at the minute is in the low to mid 40s. So I don't think pit stops are massively necessary. Doesn't stop people going for them though, of course, and that is what TJW and Doyle are doing. And now we've got another yellow flag, and that might be on the main straight. That's Alls now, and he has had a spin, and as he recovers, he does still keep making positions up. as Jimmy does speed in the pit lane sadly, but yeah, Alls will lose out in the long term with that spin. Everyone's pitting for the medium compound tyres at the moment, and Doyle is a driver trying perhaps to undercut Fozzie Bear if he can. We'll see. He will need to put his foot down, but if he can make it up, then that is good stuff. Lap 8 then of 29 in the season opener for One Hub Racing. Remember, we do have 4 more races on tonight. I will tell you more about those later on though, as we have another yellow flag. Alls has been off again. Again, ghosts though, so no one's going to worry about hitting him, but a lot of mistakes being made around here. These deadly curves are indeed causing some problems, and I wonder if Wace has had a problem as well, because Fozzie's really closed the gap on him on this lap, and is looking to make that Ferrari 1-2. I have a feeling one of these two might dive into the pit lane. Jason, the race leader, stayed out, and both of them then are going to pit. So Wace followed by Fozzie. Wace had a much better exit onto the pit lane. No one speeds. In fact, Fozzie really slowed it down to make sure he didn't speed. Stephen has picked up a 3-second time penalty. It's going to be mediums for both of these two. I think Fozzie might have been held up a little bit by Alex Lilliard as well, so I believe that might give Doyle a fighting chance perhaps at trying to get him. Let's see. Look after Fozzie on the right, he will be well ahead actually, so yeah, that's okay for Fozzie, as long as he doesn't lose it on cold tyres, which he doesn't, so Doyle doesn't get ahead. There was another yellow flag. I think we've got some side by side. Oh, and that's going to be contact as Storm makes a collision with Stephen. There's more side-by-siders there as well, with Infamous and Demon, but they're all making it through, of course, apart from Storm, who does recover back onto the track. A lot of collisions out there today, a bit of a messy affair at the moment, but we still have 15 out of 15 drivers in the race, so as long as, you know, as long as they stay in the race, the safety car could help, well, 14 of them, because someone's going to have to cause a safety car, but the point is, plenty of people out there to benefit from a potential safety car if we get one. Race leader though, he's more focused on his pit stop. As soon they're all going to mediums to then go to softs at the end. I think that's their strategies at the moment. But this should be pretty basic. Oh, Wace has gone off. Wace has gone off now as well at turn 12, and that definitely does promote Fozzie and Doyle up to second and third respectively, as indecisive pits as well, so that'll confirm it. And the top 3 after these pit stops will be the genuine top 3, not just a net top 3. And that would promote Alex Lilliard yet another position up the grid. Like I say, I must say, I kind of expect him to make 7, you know, because he did it last time. And, well, let's see. He's made 7, you know. I'm not going to call myself a prophet or anything, but I did call it, and he's made 7 positions up. So, yeah, let's see if he can keep them. Maybe he'll have the pace to make even more than 7. But it is now a Ferrari 1-2 here in Australia, and that is something that we've been waiting to say for well over a year now as Ferrari fans. It's a bit of a depressing time, although if you saw practice earlier on, Ferrari on the up. Perhaps this will be something we'll get to see this weekend as well, but at least One Hub is quenching Ferrari fans first, and we are sitting 1-2 as it stands. And let's see if Fozzie Bear has got the pace to challenge his teammates. That would be interesting to see, won't it? A nice Ferrari scrap. Doyle being dragged along as well. As long as he stays within the DRS zone, it could be a three-way fight, Ferrari versus Williams. Back in the 90s, you know? And the early 2000s, back in the good old days. Before I existed, but I digress. I'm sure it was still very interesting. Ralph Schumacher, I believe, won it on my birth when I was born. Fun fact, Junior Grand Prix of Malaysia, back in the height of all that Williams Ferrari stuff. So get a wee flashback. Let's see Williams, of course, not out of place on the podium, having George Russell finishing second last week. It's almost like he's meant to be there, Doyle, representing Williams on the podium. But yeah, let's see. Fozzie lost a bit of time in the final sector, but I think it's going to be about this lap for Jason. Is Jason going to smash the fastest lap? As Fozzie, I think, had a bit of a slide out at turn 2. Is Jason going to smash the fastest lap and just sort of, you know, lower the morale perhaps of his teammate and just sort of tell him, look, this is my position. You're not taking it off me. As Indecisive has been in the wars with Stephen, who might have lost it on his own, but he's gone past him anyway. Stephen in P8 now. And, yeah, And I'm just making sure everyone's made their pit stops. I think the only two to have an error. Oh! Demon's been turned around by Jamie Metz. So that was actually Damon, one of the people who hadn't pitted. Infamous, the other one, but another incident then on track. The stewards are going to have a very, very busy evening, I suspect, because so many of these incidents are happening and it's causing quite the mess on track. But it's rewarding those that stay clean, and, well, you might have noticed it, this gap is rising significantly. And I believe we're about to see a fastest lap of the race from Jason. Let's see if he can make it happen as he comes around the final corner. Fastest lap is a 125.2. This will be in the 124s, I believe. Is that the fastest lap? Let's see, this is his fastest lap anyway. Let me just check. Yes, Josh Wilkins actually, sorry, fastest lap on a 24.3. So not actually quite the fastest lap, although it was set on soft, Josh Wilkins' lap, and that sort of proves, regardless, just how quick Jason is. Yellows again. Don't really know why. Because it's on the main straight, that yellow flag, but I think everyone's alright. I think the driver we'll be able to look at then, who is on the soft, who will probably go another 6 or 7 laps here, is Alex Lilliard. Can he catch and fight Doyle and Fozzie Bear? Because I think it's clear that they're fighting for second place now today. Let's see if they can make it work. Remember, if you weren't here at the start of the race, Josh Wilkins, who has the fastest lap, that isn't just a fluky, he does have the pace as Jason picks up a penalty. He is 4.6 seconds clear, so I don't think it'll matter too much to him. But Josh Wilkins, he has the fastest lap. He is also genuinely quick, because he was right up there in P3 on the grid and was in the lead heading towards turn 1. He'd moved from third to first like that. It was a fantastic move. But then Smithy was on his inside and there was contact at turn 1. And yeah, both of those two were right up there earlier on, and they were both facing backwards by the end of the first corner, and so they are still trying to make a fight back through the field. So if you weren't there at the start, that's why they are so far down. But Josh, look at that, he feels like he's almost over pushing to try and catch Infamous, and it's cost him a position to Jamie Met. You can see he broke just so late into 13, and it's not the ideal line for there, as yeah, that off sort of proves to you. Meanwhile, back up with the leading pack, Fozzie from Doyle from Alex is the fight for second position. No penalties between any of them, so I mean, if there's any issues later in the race, if we get a late race safety car or something, then Jason will be under pressure with that 3 seconds of penalties. As it stands now, it looks all okay. Let's see, we'll go back to these guys then, because it looks like Jamie Met's got by Infamous as well. I think Josh Wilkins really does want to get by. Don't know why Infamous is waiting so long to pit. You've really got to be thinking about pitting right now. Even Demon's pitted now, so Infamous is the last one out there. Will Josh Wilkins go up to the inside? No, he won't. Infamous will break too deep. I think that'll let Josh Wilkins get through without any sort of issues. But I think it's time to pit if you are Infamous, because the tyres, while probably fine, if you've got a 2-stop strategy to do, what's the point of being out there, you know? But, well. At least you can go for 2 proper flat-out runs at the end on the softs. It could benefit him anyway, but I think that the pace at the minute might just be a bit too slow. No cars with any damage whatsoever, by the way, out there. I don't know if damage is actually on, because there's been quite a lot of incidents there and no damage has been done. I know Smithy pitted on the first lap. I don't know if that's just because he was at the back anyway, but look at that, we've got some more side by side. Try and prove to me there's some damage. As oh dear, Stevenson spinning round and picks up no damage with the contact. So I don't actually think damage is on, because surely that would have caused some significant damage. So either the damage is very light, or they're somehow managing to hit each other in all the right places to not cause it, which is good. That's why we've still got 15 in the race. But I'm not sure it's on. Let me just check. Actually, I can just check the settings, can't I? How do I check that? Just want to quickly see, because I'm not too sure damage is on. Ah, yeah, it's off. Okay, so damage is off. I saw someone in the chat was asking that question. I did want to check. So Aidan, that is, yeah, no damage. So that's that clarified. So when are we going to make second pit stops then? Because there are some people who will want to do it early again, i.e. probably Doyle. Because he'll want to undercut Fozzie. He's in that good position where he could just back off a little bit from Fozzie and let him take the final corner, and he could dart into the pit lane and Fozzie won't be able to respond. And hence you'll get a nice undercut. Perhaps even Alex will do it first, because he's obviously out there on the softs anyway, and they have a shorter tyre life, and so you'll want to pit earlier on those to get onto another set of tyres. But it does look like Jason has the pace. Like I say, yellows again. We've got an Aston Martin of Demon, possibly slow at the moment. But we'll see how he gets on. Like I say, as long as there's no damage, he's still in the race. And yeah, Doyle isn't really overtaken because his ERS is so low. You can see the difference between Fozzie Bear on 84 and then 29 for Doyle. And that's really why Fozzie, yes, he's not as quick as his teammate, and he does have a penalty now. But I think he still might be comfortable enough. Maybe he'll be the one now having to do that undercut, because I think once he gets outside of second, he should be okay. And as soon as he starts using this ERS, it should also be okay. Because he's now going to have to, because now Doyle and Alex Lilliard smell second and third. But we'll see. Long way to go. We are on lap 16 only out of 29 here in Australia. And Alex is just sort of biding his time, I think. I do believe he's got the pace here to make a good result out of this one. He's certainly a contender for driver of the day in the stands with the amount of positions he's made of 7. He has just kept his nose nice and clean. And it is paying off for him at the moment. See, let's see who's made up the most positions, shall we? As Alex actually makes a mistake. Don't make too many mistakes now, starting to praise you, lad. But who's made the most positions up in this race? It is him and Fozzie. So, yeah, they are the biggest movers. Indecisive as well has made 6 spots. Really nice to see there. Everyone's made 1 stop, apart from Swippy, who's just made a second onto the set of mediums. That'll take him to the end of the race. Like I say, mandatory to make 2 stops. Although, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see someone make a late 3rd stop or something like that at the end of the race to try and go for fastest lap at the back. Because, as I said, you get a fastest lap point for inside the top 10 and a fastest lap for outside the top 10. Very important to remember. If you're having a bad day, you can still go and get a point out of it. So we'll probably tend to see that happen throughout the season, just because you can do it. But we'll see. We'll keep our eye on that one, because we'll only be able to confirm that one at the end of the race, pretty much. But yep, Smithy, first one to make a second stop, and Josh Wilkins, the second one, the other man involved in the lap 1 collision. The controversy that has probably got Assured sort of panicking a little bit, thinking, well, that's going to be fun to look at. I wonder who they'd blame for that one, because I'm a bit sort of torn on it, because we saw it happen live, and it was Josh Wilkins. The way this first corner works is if you stick your nose in on the inside, there's likely to be a collision. But if you stay like where Infamous was, right to the outside, that collision doesn't happen. And it's actually a very good example, those two happening to come out. It wasn't exactly that situation. If we were on board with Infamous there, he would have been a little bit further ahead, and it would have actually been Smithy tagging Josh Wilkins' rear right tyre. And so the question that the steward will have to ask is, did Josh Wilkins turn in too early, perhaps? Did Smithy not really have room to make the move, as actually Josh Wilkins goes into the grass? You know, that's what the stewards will be thinking about. And there can be penalty points applied for that, and I believe some penalty points will lead to likes of quality bans, race bans. I don't think you'll get anywhere near that so far, you know, this early in the season, but it'll be worth looking at. But Alex Lilliard, I did say he might be the one who pulls the undercut, just due to the fact he's on the softs. And indeed, he has pitted first. He's put on a set of mediums to go to the end of the race. Does he have the pace to pull off an undercut, perhaps? and try and put himself in a position to get onto the podium. I noticed that Fozzie Bear did break out of DRS and Doyle, and since then Doyle just has not been able to respond. So Fozzie, while he hasn't made 3 seconds yet, looks like he still might be doing enough to finish in 2nd place. But certainly Doyle might be worrying now about Alex Lilliard, because Alex Lilliard has nearly a full tank of ERS. Doyle has next to nothing, and this will be an undercut lap for Lilliard, who is a bit low on fuel, but I don't think that should have worried him until the end of the race. We see Storm pit in as well. But yeah, this is really the fight for 3rd and maybe 2nd place. I don't think the fight for the lead really is a fight anymore, I'll be honest with you. Jason appears to have round 1 sort of in the bag as it stands, unless of course he makes a mistake, which he can do at any point. We saw it happen to Alex Lilliard last week, of course, when he binned it seemingly, I think, on his own in Brazil. Now look at this, Jimmy Met is climbing all over the back of Alex, and he's struggling for grip in the Alfa Romeo. Undercut might not quite be going as he planned, but let's see, he's onto the overtake button now, look. And luckily for him, Doyle didn't pit, so he might still have a chance to set a fast lap now and try and make the undercut work. But he's got to make sure he doesn't let Jamie past him, because if Jamie gets by him, that's that. That's the strategy pretty much over. And 4th place pretty much in the bag, but not 3rd or 2nd. Because if he gets ahead of Doyle, Doyle's only 2.2 seconds off Fozzie. There could be a 2nd place in this for Alex. Look at it, we're still side by side. Infamous and Josh Wilkins have been going for this one for the last couple of laps. And I believe Josh Wilkins is still the one who is in front, but only fighting for 9th place. Still, worthwhile points to be going for. Every point counts this season. I was interested there to see the Infamous actually downshifted through 5. Still not comfortable, perhaps, with the grip in his Red Bull. I mean, you can see a lot of the drivers are getting the rear end really, tailing out of the back and just making sure it's keeping in check, but not really in massive control. It is a tricky track, so I'm not too surprised. TJW enters the pit lane. Alex Lilliard, let's see if he's going to set a fastest lap for himself in this race. I don't think we have fastest lap overall, but we'll see. As he comes up to the line, has he made an improvement on his best lap so far? No, but it is only like 2/10 off. I mean, I think it should be quicker than Doyle, I think, at this point. Doyle, of course, will be on new softs, though, so he should be able to fight it when we come out of the pits anyway with the Williams driver. We will be watching it as it happens, because it is the most intriguing part of this race at the moment. I think Fozzie Bear has checked out, but not just yet on the gap. As Jimmy does pit, and I believe they're still close, Infamous and Josh. They're really going for it. Yellow's in sector 3. I don't know why that is. I don't think anyone's slow or even had a spin or anything, so I don't think that was actually anything wrong there. Let's see though, is Doyle going to pit? Fozzie Bear will. Will Doyle follow him? Yes, he will. Gonna have to floor it into here. Oh, well, that's a retirement in the pit lane. Retirement in the pit lane for Demon. So the first retirement of the season is Demon. Will his retired car, though, hold Doyle up? Let's see. Oh, it doesn't quite. Oh, maybe it did. It might have held him back maybe half a second. Alex Lilliard is coming out of the pit lane now. Is Doyle okay? I think he is. Will he make turn 1? Yes. Yes, he will. He makes it just okay then. Indecisive. I don't think Indecisive on his 11-lap old medium is going to really be able to challenge the Williams driver. So I think Alex Lilliard will just have to settle probably for 4th. Yellow flags near the front of this train though. It appears to be with the Alpine Storm. You saw him in the wall, and he's just recovering to the track again. A tricky day for Storm at the moment, but he's still in the race, keeping himself on the road. Not the strongest start though for the Alpine team, but look, he can pit for pit for a set of new sauce perhaps at the end and go for a fast lap. It's never over until the final lap, and let's say you're always in a chance of points. Now, can Alex Lilliard dispatch of indecisive quick enough to perhaps just give him a slimmer of a chance at getting by Doyle? I don't think it's going to happen now with the tyre difference. We'll sure still give it a go. Jason with a second 3-second time penalty. I don't think it matters. He was about 10 seconds clear of his teammate. He already had a 3-second time penalty, so I don't think that penalty is going to matter too much to Jason. And Alex isn't quite getting exclusive to indecisive in turn 1. Perhaps it'll be a turn 3 move, but yeah, overtaking is proving difficult, and you can see what it is just so difficult for these guys. And they're struggling on the chicanes with the grip. There was Smithy, you can see him on the minimap, he's gone off the track. Alex Lilliard is going up the inside, and he's up into 4th place, but not for long, as indecisive shoves him wide. And Alex picks up a penalty from him. That will not impress the Alfa Romeo driver, and it almost certainly completely stops his chances of a podium and of 4th place, because look at that. Wayson is all over him now, and with the extra grip on the tyres, he might have had the advantage on the penalty, but maybe not anymore, as Wayson will surely be now fighting to try and steal 4th place, and have a feeling he'll probably win that fight as well. Doyle has lost a second somewhere, and so is absolutely outside the 3-second window that Fozzie Bear needed to finish in 2nd place. Can Wayson, though, get up to the back of Alex Lilliard? That's what we need to see. Alex does have much higher ERS, but he's understeering. Every time he gets close to the back of indecisive, he's also braking a bit too late. And look at him, is he going to go for it into the final break into? No, he's backing off, and Wayson nearly sent it around the outside. Indecisive pits. Here comes Wayson. On the DRS, on the ERS, Alex defends on the straight, but Wayson is going through into P4. Does he make the corner? Oh, he doesn't quite, you know. I wonder if Alex can have a little go on the exit. He has got more ERS and DRS, but isn't using it. Wayson is up into 4th place. Just going to definitely check his penalty is a 3-second penalty, and it is. And it's now 6. It's now 6 for Wayson. He's just gone off the road and makes it 6 seconds. He's got 7 laps to make a 3-second gap, and he will keep P4. So that is that's where he's at. So Jason is now entering the pit lane. I think that's Josh Wilkins, is it? Going for another spin. That'll promote Stephen up into 10th position. Or is that Storm, sorry, going through? I think it will still let Stephen go through, but he's got a penalty. And so Josh might still end up getting by him in the end, unless he spins again, which he nearly did on the curb on the entry to 3. Jason, don't think he's having any issue with his pit stop. He has put on a new set of softs. We might have to run along board with him, actually, and see if we can catch him going for the fastest lap, because he pitted later than pretty much everybody else, apart from indecisive. I believe now everyone's made a second stop. Let me just confirm that. Every single driver now has made a second stop. So they have indeed followed the regulations to the letter, which is good to see. Alex Lilliard's going to be 3 seconds behind Wayson, by the way, now. He's just set the fastest lap, so I don't think it's going to happen for Wayson today. Storm has had another incident, which is a shame to see. Jimmy Met is all over the back of Indecisive, who, like I say, just pitted. He's having a decent race, actually, Indecisive. He's sort of gone a bit under the radar. Shame about his penalty. But you can see, if I can get my graphics up, he's made 6 positions. He's now got another penalty. But he has had a sort of decent day for Red Bull, making some positions up. But let's go to Jason then, as he's heading through the final sector now. I want to sit on board with him and take you for what could be the fastest lap of the race. As the rookie is going to try and get as many stats as he possibly can. First finish, first points, first podium, first win. It's all going to happen for him today if he can just keep this all on the road. Let's see what sort of lap he's about to set as he ride on board. He's using the ERS to the line to start lap 25 out of 29. Just 5 to go in the season opener here in Australia. Nicely through the first chicane, no dramas. He's driving beautifully at the moment, I must be said. He's absolutely having a great time out there. Driving within the limits of the car though as well, not over pushing it, just hitting the apexes, getting himself around the lap and dominating the race. 6/10 up on his best Sector 1 already. Really strong pace. It's also purple. Yellows again, I believe that's for Storm, who's had yet another problem. He's getting close to being lapped here soon. And if he does get lapped, you need to think about that. If he wants to go for a point at the end, he's got to be ready if he gets lapped. Because I think if he now pits, there's a chance he does get lapped. Jason, nope, still up on his lap, trying to set the fastest time to take maximum points out of this first race. He's not just going to be doing it for fun. There is a point in this for him. And it would complete total domination of the race. Here he comes then, around the final corner. We know how good his pole position time was. This isn't going to beat that time, but it could be in the 22s. And that should be the fastest lap of the race. 4 to go. And it's safe to say, Jason is deserving where he is at the moment. He's absolutely flying at the moment. Closest fight on track there. We've got Jamie Met on the back of Indecisive, although they both are quite low on ERS. Jamie on slightly older tyres. Infamous is on the back of Smithy. Perhaps a better fight to watch. And I just want to see actually who is fastest lap on this bottom 10. I think it is, or this bottom 5, sorry. Smithy. This is the one who's going to get the extra point as it stands. And he gets a penalty. Doesn't really matter though. He's not really in much trouble. As long as he can just get to the end with that faster lap, then it should be looking good for him. And then obviously Jason has the fastest lap inside the top 10, and so he'll be looking good for that. Only driver anywhere near the 22s as well, as it stands. It's a different league for him. He's so fast. 9 seconds ahead of his teammate, and then you can just see the gaps down the field. As Smithy moves to the inside to defend from Infamous, who's now going to take the inside as well, because Smithy moved back. And Infamous inside, there's contact. Smithy turned in too early. He's through. Jimmy Met as well is through as well. So Infamous ahead of Smithy, and then the other Red Bull of Indecisive getting overtaken by McLaren of Jamie Met. Penalties, by the way. Storm's just got one. Infamous has just been overtaken again. He's in the wall. Ah, what a shame. He just made the overtake, and now he's in the wall. Hope there he wasn't put into that wall, but there's the race leader heading through. He's on lap 27. Infamous is on lap 27 as well, or lap 26 now. Of course, he will only have to complete 28 now. As will Storm. Storm, did he pit? I think he must have pitted. He's got another penalty, that's going to be off again. Yeah, you can see his struggles, can't you? He's hit the wall hard this time. But luckily no damage, or else he would be absolutely out of the race. I think we would have got quite a lot of safety cars today if it wasn't for damage being off. The drivers might be thanking their lucky stars that they get a chance to go for fastest lap, to be honest, but I don't think any of this concerns Jason, who's dominating the race. Let me just check his teammate actually, his penalty. It's not... Yeah, it's 3 seconds, so Doyle is not within the gap to get the penalty. And TJW, he's on the soft, you know. I mean, could he perhaps steal 5th place off Alex Lilliard? Need to set some quick times in the last couple of laps. But he could steal this. He could certainly steal this. Storm now has retired, so he's given up. I guess you can't go for the fastest lap if you're struggling to get through the chicanes. Maybe he doesn't feel he can set a fast enough lap, which is fair enough. Tricky day. But for Jason, it's all going swimmingly so far. Indecisive's on the back of Jimmy Met. He was on there in the DRS zone, but didn't quite get through. And I think this race is sort of heading towards its conclusion now. I don't think much more is going to change. Apart from TJW, he's got 2 laps to make 1.4 seconds and steal P5 off of Alex Lilliard. Perhaps the move to soft in the middle stint, it looked good at the time, but with the way his pace is, maybe it won't work out for him, which is a shame. Still made some good positions up though. It's still a decent P5 or P6, depends on how TJW gets on his final lap. well, the penultimate and final lap. Got 1.5 laps here to make a second. So we'll keep our eye on that one. It is the closest sort of fight for higher position out there. This is the closest on-track scrap. Alls is catching, I think, Josh Wilkins as well for the last point. And off the track, is that Stephen? Stephen's made a mistake then. Like I say, I'm not too sure what the penalty situation is going to be of all this, but all this spinning around and making mistakes could change things on this final lap. Look at Stephen now. He's bump drafting Josh Wilkins and he's diving up his inside. Too much contact here could scupper both of their races now. And Stephen, a very robust defence. Some might say perhaps maybe too robust. Stewards possibly will get a look in there, but maybe penalties will sort all this out anyway. I think they're all on different types of penalty. Stephen's got the most, yeah, so he'll fall back anyway. Right, final lap of the race. Let's go to see the race leader as he heads through the middle sector. He's set to score a first ever fastest lap. He's set to score a first ever finish, a first ever podium, and most importantly, a first ever victory. All he's got to do is get through these last couple of quarters. And the rookie for Ferrari is looking good to start his season in the best possible way. Maximum points are coming to him, are coming to Maranello. As he comes around the final corner, Jason, the pole sitter, comes around the last straight and the checkered flag's there for him. Jason leads home what will be a Ferrari 1-2 as they take the perfect start to the prospect tier here in Series Season 19. Let's just see him. Fozzie Bear crosses the line, 4.5 seconds ahead of Doyle, who will pick up a podium for Williams. And Wyss, after the spin, nice recovery, up to P4. Alex Lilliard, it's 0.2 of a second, 1/10. It's closing. I think, though, he might just have done enough to get across the line and keep 5th place, and he has done. Ahead of TJW, who's in 6th. Jimmy Met has no penalties, which is a good performance for him. A lot of people struggle with that today. He hasn't, though. He will come round, and he will hold off Indecisive on track to claim P7. Indecisive with a big penalty, he'll be 8th, but I don't think he'll lose out anything because Stephen is 22 seconds behind him. And speaking of which, he's coming through now. Infamous has already finished the race. I think the fastest lap outside the top 10 will go to Josh Wilkins, but that depends on whether he will actually be outside the top 10. Let's just see how the penalties work. Stephen crosses the line, he's 9th. Alls is now 9th. Smithy is 11th, so Stephen stays 10th, and then Josh is too far away, I think. So I think he will get the other fastest lap point. And that does then end the first race of the season. Quite a dramatic affair, isn't it? Wow. I can't get over that lap 1 accent, to be honest with you. It's a really hot talking point, I'm sure. And I'm sure the post-race interviews will probably say quite a lot about all that. But it's all about this man today, Jason, who I will certainly be putting forward for driver of the day. And all I'm going to ask from, really, could you possibly have had a better debut than that? Pole, fastest lap, just a superb performance. So that's really all I have to ask him. Could it have really gone any better, and can you carry this on to the rest of the season? I know co-commentator isn't here, so I will also submit another driver today. To who? Should I be boring and give it to you? I will actually. I'm going to give it to Fozzie Bear because he went up from 9th to 2nd, and I'm going to ask him, how was that run through the field? Because you got up quite quickly through the field. So what was it like going through the field? And do you have the pace to challenge your teammate for the championship this season? So there are my 2 candidates for the driver of the day. And quickly, the order: Jason, who also has a fast lap, wins the race. From Fozzie Bear, Doyle, Wyss, Alex Lilliard, TJW, Jimmy Met, Indecisive, Alls, and Stephen, the top 10. Then the last point scorer is Josh Wilkins because he has the fast lap outside the top 10, and then it is Smithy, Chris, Infamous, our last finisher. Infamous, the last finisher, and Storm and Demon are retirements. And so ends the first race of season 19. I'd like to thank everybody for watching, and as always, got to thank all of our sponsors: Next Level Racing, Free End Sim Racing, And also to our partners, Vespertine and to ERT. Thank you, everybody. And yeah, what a race. I'm going to be racing later on in the Pinnacle tier, but you can find some other tiers on at the moment. The points tier started half an hour ago, so that race will be on. But starting right now is the podium tier. So points tier is on Twitch, and the podium tier and the points tier, podium tier starts on the YouTube. So hopefully we'll have Tom with me next week. And do cheer me on as well in the Pinnacle tier. It's always much appreciated. And I'd like to thank everybody for watching. And we will see you next week for round 2. And that'll be in Bahrain, I believe. Let me just check. Yes, it will be in Bahrain. So, have a good evening, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the races tonight. And safe travels.